Silence is the deadliest weapon because it operates on a psychological level that most human beings are completely unequipped to handle, as it creates pressure without effort, dominance without confrontation, and control without visible force. And unlike anger, shouting, or aggression, which expose emotional weakness instantly, silence removes access to your inner state, making you unreadable, unreactive, and therefore uncontrollable. And in a world addicted to noise, constant reactions, emotional outbursts, explanations, and validation, silence becomes a rare form of power that immediately separates the disciplined from the impulsive. Because human psychology is deeply uncomfortable with uncertainty, and silence creates uncertainty at the deepest mental level, forcing people to overthink, imagine, assume, and project their own fears onto you, while you remain still, calm, and in control. And this is why silence intimidates more than shouting ever could, because shouting tells people exactly where you stand, what you feel, and how triggered you are, while silence reveals nothing. And when nothing is revealed, the human mind fills the gap with worst-case scenarios, self-doubt, and internal pressure, which slowly erodes emotional stability, making the other person lose balance while you gain leverage without moving a single inch. And this is the foundation of psychological dominance, because power is not about force, it is about positioning, and silence places you in a position where others are forced to react, explain, justify, or expose themselves, while you observe, calculate, and decide. And this is why calm, quiet individuals are often perceived as dangerous, intimidating, or authoritative even when they say nothing at all, because the brain is wired to search for patterns, signals, and emotional cues, and when those cues are absent, the brain becomes restless, uncomfortable, and fearful, interpreting silence as confidence, hidden strength, or unspoken capability. And this is where silence dominates noise, because loud people leak information, insecurity, and intent with every word they speak, while silent people conceal strategy, limits, and intentions, making them unpredictable. And unpredictability is one of the strongest psychological weapons known to man, because people only challenge what they believe they understand, and they avoid what they cannot read. And silence makes you unreadable, unmovable, and psychologically untouchable, which is why emotional people hate silence, fear silence, and try to break silence, because silence forces them to face their own thoughts, their own insecurities, their own lack of control, and their own need for validation, while the disciplined mind uses silence as both shield and weapon, allowing others to speak freely, react emotionally, and reveal their true nature, while you stay composed, detached, and mentally superior, because control is not about domination through force, it is about domination through restraint, and silence is restraint sharpened into power, signaling confidence, patience, and authority without explanation or permission. And in conversations, arguments, negotiations, and conflicts, silence instantly shifts power dynamics, because the one who speaks first under pressure is usually the one who loses leverage, while the one who waits forces the other side to fill the void, justify themselves unnecessarily, or make mistakes that cannot be taken back. And this principle applies everywhere, in the streets, in workplaces, in relationships, in leadership, and in survival situations, because silence creates psychological gravity, and gravity pulls attention, respect, fear, and compliance without effort. And the dark mindset understands that words are cheap, reactions are expensive, and silence is priceless, because silence costs nothing yet delivers dominance. And those who master silence master their emotions, their impulses, and their position, while those who fear silence remain slaves to noise, emotional instability, and impulsive behavior, constantly reacting instead of controlling, constantly explaining instead of positioning, and constantly exposing instead of protecting. And the final truth is this: silence is not empty. It is loaded, it is not passive, it is aggressive control in its purest form. And in a loud world full of weak reactions, fragile egos, and emotional explosions, the one who stays silent becomes the most dangerous presence in the room. Not because they speak louder, but because they do not need to speak at all.